Seems that everything goes wrong all at the same time, doesn't it? Well, sometimes. So in this video I'm going to talk about the kitchen tap and how that broke, the water pump that was noisy. A year ago we had a load of damp in the garage. Guess what? That's returned. And how we're going to fix all of those things. I don't think anything else has gone badly wrong recently, but I think that's probably enough, isn't it? So, starting off with the kitchen sink tap, we had the screw on the handle came loose, and then that came off, and we sort of popped it back on, but the micro switch to turn the pump on and off wasn't fully pushed down. We didn't realise that. Although the tap was off, the switch was up, so it was still running, so we didn't really know. The pump was going and trying to force water through where it couldn't go because all the taps were closed. Anyway, after a while, probably a day, the pump got noisy, even though well, that alerted us to the tap not being fixed properly. I took the tap apart, made sure that the micro switch was in the right place, and screwed it back on pretty tight. That was all good. It was all working nicely. It was going. It was, turning the water off, turning the water. Pump was a little bit noisy, but it sort of cleared up. So we didn't really worry too much. About a week after that, the bathroom tap was sort of spluttering. It does that sometimes anyway, if we run low on water. But no, the pump had given up the ghost. So I had to do a bit of research, find out what pump that was, and then get a new one. Find out how to fit it as well, because you need the taps, don't you? You can't just say, oh well, we'll fix those later, like you can with with a lot of things. It's like, oh well, we'll fix that later. But the tap was still broken. The water pump needed to be replaced. Luckily, I went to Reliance CMS. They have them in stock. I found out through the Dethleffs Owners Club, their email help system. The guy that runs that, he knows everything there is to know about all the Dethleffs models. So he's a real mine of information. He knew what pump it was. I spoke to Reliance. They had them in stock, and we just drove over to Reliance to pick one up. And what I did was, before we settled on going to get the pump, I took the pump out. I thought it was going to be, I don't know what I thought it was going to be like, but the water tank's under the bed. It's accessible through the cupboards, and I thought it was a pump just screwed into the top of the tank, because that's where sort of wires were. And anyway, but actually it isn't like that. Those wires that go into the top of the tank are for the water sensors to tell you how full the tank is, and the pump is right down at the bottom of the tank, so you have to take off the big red cover, go in, but it's all connected to some fairly stiff pipes. And the pump, actually, the last bit of the pipe that goes into the pump is the last water sensor. So the longest water sensor is tucked down the little Jubilee clip to keep it down. So that was challenging. So I had to sort of bend that up a bit and then unscrew it and take that out. And eventually got it out. All the Jubilee clips, of course, were rusty, so take those off. Yeah, so that was interesting. So I got that out, made sure it was that pump, and it's just one that just sits on the bottom of the tank like that, and draws the water. It has an inbuilt filter. So that was that. Got the new pump while I was at Reliance, and I thought, I've got to go and buy a Jubilee clip. But I thought, they've probably got one. So I asked them, and they were very kind. They gave me a Jubilee clip. It doesn't come with any fittings, it just comes as a pump and a wire. But managed to get that, and I actually fitted it. It only took me about like 15 minutes to get it back in and all working. Really nice. So so the tap, the kitchen tap that's got the lid, the top on it, it goes up and down, turn it on and off. About a day after I'd fixed the pump, that fell off again. And what I've done is I've fitted a zip tie around the top of the tap until I can source a new tap, because it's a little square peg on the top of the tap that fits into the handle. I'll show you it. And it sort of, the top of the handle is all made of plastic. And what I'd done is I'd over tightened it to make it secure, made sure it stay on, and I'd broken the front off the tap. So where the thing fits in and the screw comes across, I'd pushed out the other end of the, anyway, nightmare. So at the moment we don't have a handle on the kitchen tap. We've just got a little zip tie around the top, and we're using it like that until I can find I could probably just order one from Reliance. They have most things, but I want to talk to them about whether there's any better taps. And this is a Riche German made tap, which should be really good, shouldn't it? But it's not been that great, because it was a new tap. Highbridge, where we bought the motorhome from just over a year ago, said they'd fitted a new tap just before we bought it. Can you trust what they said? Probably not. So, that'll be 2 new taps in a year, wouldn't it, if we fit the same one? So they can't be that reliable, especially in, constant use, as it were. Well, I'm going to do that. So that's something else on the list. The other thing that's come back is all the damp in the garage that's caused by condensation. And the reason it was so damp when we bought the van, we picked it up on the 1st of November, and there was water all around the inside of the door, and but it seems even worse now. It's not leaking. I know it's not leaking because there's no sign of leakage anywhere, and it is just condensation. So I've been thinking about that for a while, and what we might do, and I've come to the decision that what we're going to do is we're going to fit a diesel heater just for the garage. So we're going to fit it in the garage. We're going to fit it at the rear center of the garage. So I'm going to drill a hole through the floor, but there's nothing around it, and then I'm going to run the exhaust and air intake out at the back of the van, so it'll be out of the way, and the diesel heater control will come up into the bedroom, because there's space for it to come up, and I'll just put it on the side of the wardrobe, so that we can switch it on and off, or put it on a timer to come on, maybe once or twice a day. It seems a bit of an overkill, doesn't it? Because it's to keep things are getting wet. in the garage, and there's, you know, little corners where we don't move things around that much. Little bits of mould are starting to creep in. So what I've got to do is I've got to clear the garage right out and then give it a damn good clean. Get, you know, maybe I'll use some mould inhibitor cleaner around there and get it all clean. Chuck away loads of stuff that we don't need, and then fit the diesel heater. I've ordered the diesel heater. I've gone for the V4 from Amazon with the and I've ordered an extra turret plate. That's the plate that goes on the bottom, has a round turret that goes through the floor, protects the floor from the heat of the exhaust and stuff like that. So I've ordered that. And the biggest question I had, which is why it's taken so long, the biggest question I had is, well, how do you get power to it? Because all the 12 volt power is here, right in the cab. There's not really any way to tap in to big enough power to get to run the diesel heater, because it needs quite a high startup ampage for the glow plugs, and you don't want. There is a light in the garage, very, very low powered cabling, really thin, and I'm thinking, I don't really want to run it off that. I did a bit of research, and it wouldn't. The danger is that during the startup it might melt the wires because of the ampage going through. I know it's all sort of low voltage, but that's how it works. If you've got high voltage, you can use thin wire, which is why 230 volt wires are all sort of, this thin, like this. And if it's high ampage, you need thick wires, which is why your battery cables, which are 12 volt and can deliver 200 amps, that's why you need very thick cables. So I've got to run a 6mm cable, which is reasonably thick. I've got to run that 6mm cable from here right down to the other end of the van, and then up into the garage, and then put a little fuse box up there. So, and that's what's been stopping me doing it. So, but I've worked out how to do that now. I've found the cable routes from the cab. There's lots of other cables that run along the chassis rail from the front to the back, and I can just zip tie the new cable, which I'll be putting in a conduit to protect it from the elements. And I've ordered not Blue Sea cables, but Ocean Flex, which is a bit more expensive, but it's designed to use out in the elements, so it'll be safe to run. And then I'll just bring it up into the garage. There's cable routes up into the garage, so I can do that, and then I'll just reseal all that and put it in. Now I've ordered it, and it'll be coming next week, but we're just about to set off to Spain. We've not booked our ticket yet, but we are going in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Not decided exactly the date. Wendy's doing the last bit of planning on that, and we've got 1 or 2 other bits of Pippin medical, Wendy medical, just to bottom all that out, and make sure that we're all set with all the right amount of medication to last us, and prescriptions that we can get, and so on and so on. So there we are. That's what we're doing. I hope you've enjoyed the view of the kitchen tap as I've been talking, and all the bits and pieces in the garage, and you'll see what it's all a bit of a mess, and we've got too many things, too much stuff that we carry around. We don't know why we do. We're just too frightened to get rid of stuff just in case we might need it. but we're gonna get it sorted. And my plan is to fit the diesel heater while we're in Spain or Portugal. We won't need it then, because the condensation disappears when we get into the warmer weather. So there we are. But that's it for this little video. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.